All right, guys, we're about a minute out. If you have questions or want clarity on anything, or just want to confirm that you can actually hear me, say something now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, we hear you. I hear you. I don't know about others.
All right, we got you. I think that was Yusuf.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yep, great. Then that means you and I are at least going to have a good day today.
Me too.
There you are.
Buenos dias.
I knew everybody else was there waking up. How's everything in Jersey?
Fantabulous.
Everything's good.
Great. And just for clarity too, all 5 of your guys' offices are all in Bergen County, which is all New Jersey, right?
Right.
Cool. Very cool.
What do you mean by all New Jersey?
I mean, you're all New Jersey address because it's the same county. It wouldn't be another county in a different state. All your states get smaller and crammed up in there. I can't keep track of all that stuff. You know, Missouri, we're like we're big. Texas is bigger. You guys all get all tight and crammed up in there, and you guys share all that land with all these other states.
But that's why we have to think bigger.
Think bigger. Take over the whole, what is that, the northeast handle of the United States and own it. All right, guys, you ready to get started? Got everybody tuning in. Congratulations for being here, first of all. You've made it to session 5. We're now just over the hump of 25% through. And this is where it gets tough. And this is where, you know, for everyone showing up today, this is where you need to decide, you know, do I want to keep doing the business the way I'm doing it? I mean, first of all, let me ask you guys this. Do you have, like, look at your checkbook. Do you have all the money in your checking account that you want? Do your friends and family say, leave me alone? Like, I don't have time to go have lunch with you today. I can't go golf today. How do you do all this stuff? Do you have, your friends are telling you to leave them alone because you're doing all the stuff you love to do? And the answer is, if it's not, then the way you're doing business has gotten you to where you are. There has to be a different way to do business to get to where you want to go. And it is so possible, like truly possible. Real estate is like one of the only avenues I know of that any average Joe Schmo, I mean, you're looking at Joe Schmo to the T. Joe Schmo, little guy in Kansas City with no parents that have been in real estate, no parents that have ever had any money, had to fight my way to college. I had to get a full-time job as an assistant manager in a clothing store in Columbia, Missouri, so I could go to University of Missouri and pay for my school, right? So, I mean, very average Joe Schmo that you can actually create whatever income you want to make. So I just kind of want to reiterate that as we're going into session 5 here, there's still a lot more sessions to go. And the more you will get out of this is recommitting to be here every week to hear it. You got to hear it once to get excited. You're going to have to hear it again to remember that you were excited the first time you heard it. You know, we talked about this on several sessions. So what you're going to get excited, you got to get excited first. So hopefully you read your manual and stuff and went through the material yesterday or before this class and got a little excited. So now you get to hear it. And now you're already like, okay, doubly excited. And then when you read it again, you're already light years ahead that the next time you take Ignite, even if Ignite becomes a permanent thing in your business until you are there, right? Until you're out of your comfort zone. Stay committed to this class. Stay committed. Put it on your calendar. Block it off. I'm going to make a note. This is a $5 million listing for you guys. This 1 hour is a $5 million listing appointment. It's a $5 million listing appointment because it can help you net $1 million selling real estate. And how many of you, I mean, you could just kind of give a little shout or post something on the comments. How many of you would be okay if you could get to 500,000? You'd be okay with $500,000 income doing real estate, right?
Absolutely, of course, I would.
Yeah. So that's only getting a half right? So 250 sounds good. It's better than going to getting a real job. That's only getting 25% right. So think of it like you're in grade school. The next time you take Ignite, you're going to be in junior high. The next time you take Ignite, you're going to be in high school and you're going to graduate. That's 3 times through. Are you talking, Brad? What? That's like a freaking year to take Ignite 3 times. You're just going to be graduating high school. You go through it a couple more times, you got college and you got your master's degree. That's how I looked at all the training classes that I went to, and anything that ever really resonated and showed up in my business, which allows me to be able to share this stuff with you today. Guys, I don't read the manual. I am sharing with you Brad Korn's real life of everything I've gone through, and everything I talk about, it's like I've seen it a dozen times. So don't want to beat that dead horse there, but I also want to anchor it really, really hard that this hour, man, this is high school. You don't get to graduate without it. And if you don't graduate, I mean, not that there's great people out there that have gotten GEDs. There's great people out there that have done great things without high school degrees. Only how many of them? What percentage of them, right? So don't get stuck in the average, everyday, dependable world. Make things happen for yourself. So some of you are going to go through Ignite once and you're going to explode your business and double it and be at 500,000. That's great. I mean, I know lots of people that didn't finish high school that have their own businesses. So anyway, just saying that for the average Joe, man, I had to get my high school degree. I did, and I had to go to college for marketing and business management. And I read the E-Myth book, of course, and that allowed me to implement all that stuff by going through college and getting that stuff in my brain so that I could understand it well enough to actually do something with it. And I'm by no means, I'm not a genius either. So anyway, I don't claim to be that. Any questions about anything before we get going? All right, guys, go ahead. I think we're good. All right, guys, today's stuff on goals and all this other stuff is not going to be your typical goal class that you've ever been in. I mean, how many of you have not heard of 411 before? Anybody? Okay, most people, if you've heard of, have you heard of 411 before? Yep. I know you guys have your microphones muted and you got your pen in your hand and you're like ready to write, right? That's why we're all muted. So you're going to hear 411 and goal setting in a totally different light today. You're going to hear it in the way that I experienced it and how it got me to where I am in my business selling 100 homes a year, because that's the only way I know to share is what I experienced. The good news is that something about me, I don't know how this led to the coaching and the training and everything. I am able to break it down to the stupid simple, not something I probably should be proud of, but I bring everything down to the stupid simple so you can actually move through that next step versus just hearing it. So you're going to hear it differently than you've ever heard it before. And I hope it like rings true to you and you finally like get it to the point that you can get it and you'll actually do it. So the 411 is the absolute most amazing worksheet. Like it's probably the most exciting thing we're talking about today. And there's a lot of exciting things in here. So anyway, so today what we're going to focus on again is we talk about the grow your business and run your business. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I? Let me do that. Boom. So, I mean, this is what we do through the whole thing in Ignite on growing our business and running our business. Today is going to hit on the items of lead generation. Of course, we lead generate for buyers and sellers every single day, but we're also talking about setting goals and attending training and getting coaching. Well, you guys, just by being on this call today, you're doing that. So congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back. You did coaching today. Woohoo! And it's really, here's the thing about my coaching is I don't want somebody to be dependent on their coach. I don't want you to have to like have somebody to go to ask everything. That when I coach, I want you to understand it well enough that you can run independently. And your coach is more of your subconscious talking to yourself and asking questions because great coaches ask great questions back. And if you figure it out, because you're independent and you're not dependent on that coach to help you get through everything, pretty soon you can start moving a little faster, a little faster, a little faster. You get things done faster, faster, faster. So that's why it's not so much training, reading the material, or just coaching where, so what'd you do? How'd that make you feel? Not that that's not bad coaching. It's great coaching. And I ask those same exact questions. However, what I'm also looking for is, are you getting it? So as we go through this session of Ignite, let me know when you're getting it. Let me know when you're not getting it. You guys can call me just like there's agents, hundreds of agents that call me monthly and ask me questions, and it's for free. And you guys are in Ignite with me, and I'm literally just as easy of a phone call away. So if you have questions, call me, and we'll a lot of times I can help clarify it, direct it. You can use me as a sounding board. I can throw some marketing ideas out there, because when my marketing idea clicks, I throw it out to you. So just keep me as a resource, right? So today we're talking about envisioning your big life, and that's going to be setting meaningful goals and also completing the 411. So that you're going to actually understand the 411 is 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. And when you focus on a week at a time for whatever your monthly goal is, working towards your annual goal, that 411 guides you through accomplishing exactly that, your life. So what is your motivation? We talked about it in the very, very first class, right? What makes you jump out of bed on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and run to your computer, reboot the thing with 10 minutes to spare, get logged in, and you are just ready to go with your notebook and your pen? What gets you motivated to do that? What gets you motivated to get up and lead generate every day, right? So think of when we set goals, when we're talking about goal setting today, the 411 gets misused most of the time as a to-do list. What's my stuff I got to get done this week to my goal, to my month, or whatever? Sometimes if you look at the actual item in the week, it doesn't even have anything to do with the month or the year. It's a to-do list. What we're creating is a must-do list. Must-do list. And think of that when we get to the 411. I know you don't understand what it is yet, but if you pre-read the material, you're already kind of starting to grasp what I'm talking about. If you haven't read it yet, hang with me, because you're going to understand it really well. But think about that 411. I took it so literally that anything listed in that week column had to be moving towards something in the month column. And the something in the month column had to be moving towards something in the year column. So there's a lot of stuff I wrote down in the beginning on my 411 that didn't have anything to do with my monthly goal. So just keep that in mind, that this is your must-do list. And then I think that's it. I covered my points there. And remember, you guys, jump in anytime you have a question. But if somebody's got their microphone quick and handy and you can unmute, are you guys looking at the quote, who we are, and would you read that for me if anybody's got it in front of them? Or you got it on the screen.
Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish.
So think about that, guys. Say it to yourselves right now, right? Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we want to accomplish. And this is all in the One Thing book. So there's another book we're going to reference. I love referencing back where I know this material is, because I've been through it all so much, right? And I first went through it as an agent to build my business. What it's led to is I went through it so many times as an agent to make sure it showed up, that it's just really like pretty simple to coach it, because I'm coaching to what I learned and what I did, which was doing it. So if there's any aspiring coaches in the crowd, the way you're going to get there is doing this stuff a dozen times, building a business that's worth owning, that other people can see, oh my gosh, I could do that. And that's when you become a coach, right? So that's how you do that. Anyway, on that, the mission of Keller Williams is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. That's kind of, we've expanded that over the years since I've come here as well. And what I want you to pay attention to here is that this can also work negatively. So who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. So if you surround yourself with negative energy people, and I'm telling you, this is the tough part. When they say surround yourself with the 5 people that you would like to be the average of, there's a real conversation that happens around who are my friends that I hang out with on the weekends, and who are my friends who's my family members that I see at family events. Now, I don't know that you have to necessarily just cut everybody out of your life. However, if you don't have the 5 average people and you're out hanging around them the most, those family and friends are to be there for support, right? Because as we talk about setting goals, I mean, maybe one of your goals is to get a family member out of debt because that's all they ever complain about every time you're with them, right? And maybe you could just have so much money sitting around, you could just pay off the debt, and maybe you would hope that would make them a nice person or fun again, right? Whatever it might be. But just be careful on how you read that, because it can go good and it can go bad as well. So on this next one, think, act, and achieve. Okay, guys, this was huge for me. This was absolutely huge. I got to give you a personal experience here, because your big actions and your big actions and your small actions will take you either way. And I'd been in real estate for 3 years in Minnesota. I'd started selling real estate in 1991 in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. And that's, what is that, St. Paul and Minneapolis, right? I was right in the middle in Roseville. That was 91. We got the opportunity to move back to Kansas City, which is where I'm from. I went to high school here, graduated from here, got transferred to Columbia to be a manager of a clothing store so I could go to Mizzou. Then they transferred me to Wichita, Kansas. I don't even know where Wichita, Kansas was when they told me this. I had to look it up on a map. And it is in the sticks, man. It's in the sticks. But there are some great KW agents down there. I know them all personally. And I went to school down there as a shocker. And if you remember basketball, I think it was Final Four about 2 or 3 years ago. The Wichita Shockers were like in the finals. I can't remember if they won or not. Anyway, so I'm in Wichita, Kansas, right? Get the opportunity to move back to Kansas City in 95, I believe it was, from Minnesota. And what I did at that time, just being plugged into following achievers and going to conferences and actually coming back and implementing things, I was getting a better mindset than my first year. My first 3 years were like no sales, right? But when I came back and the MREA book came out, now it didn't come out in 95, it came out a little later. But I looked at Kansas City and I said, who's the top agent? Now, this is going to sound insane and it's probably going to date me a little bit. We did not show cars in wood cars with concrete wheels, you know, the Flintstones. We didn't show cars like that. But however, we didn't even have MLS books that had properties in it. We had facsimile sheets when I first got into real estate. Anyway, back to the point, I moved to Kansas City and I look at the top agent in Kansas City, and that top agent that everybody knew and sold the most houses was selling $40 million worth of real estate. 1995, right? $40 million. There's people on this call that are doing $40 million in real estate. And that was the person that was the top agent in Kansas City. So what did the foolish Brad do? I heard about this little topic right here. And I said, I'm going to set my goal at 40 million. Now, here's what Gary Keller confirmed for me. Because setting my goal at 40 million, a lot of people are afraid to set goals too high because then you don't accomplish them and then you fail and all that other stuff, right? Now, I set my goal at 40 million. And what it does is when you set a big goal, it actually pulls you through all the smaller goals faster because you're doing different activities to try and get to 40 million. Here's the opposite. Most agents get into real estate. If I could just sell $1 million worth of real estate, and talking in your guys' language, I mean, if I could sell $5 million or $10 million in real estate in my first couple of years, that would be awesome. So what you do is you build this highway. It's a 2-lane highway, and you do the activities to get to 5 million or 10 million, or even maybe it is just 1 million for some people, right? So just to do that. And so you've got a 2-lane highway you're operating off of. Now, when you start getting busy and you hit that goal, it might take you 2-3 years to get there, right? And then when you hit that goal, you're super busy. So you're bringing, oh, let's build a team. Let's get leverage. Let's get a showing agent. You start throwing people in when you're so busy, your systems are all maxed out and you're trying to train new people and bring them on. And then you go all through all this you put your whole highway under construction. And then most agents build it to 4 lanes. They add a couple extra lanes, right? So then the business gets going again and they're rolling, and then the 4 lanes fill up and they're super busy again. So it's fun. We're expanding our team, but we're putting the highway under construction. You guys dealing with some construction? It's horrible. I mean, it causes delays. It causes accidents. It's a mess, right? So I just built a 20-lane highway from the very beginning. I went and found the agents that were selling 300 homes a year, and I sell 100 homes a year in my 300 transaction a year system. It's like open highway, man. I'm booking it. It's like taking the outside loop and just avoiding all the traffic. It's easy. It's fun. That's why I say I'm like one of the laziest successful agents in Kansas City, because life is smooth. I've got a 300 transaction. Actually, to be honest, I think I could probably max out at about 150 transactions with me and my assistant. I think we could max out at 150, and then we would be under construction to expand. I've already been through expansion, so I know how to add the people back in and where to divvy out the things. I've already been there. So your business can expand and contract at the same time. So anyway, I've been there, done that. And right now, there's no reason to have all the extra expenses, because I can handle what's coming through at 66, 68, 70 sales a year. Missing a few, okay, but life is okay. So set your goals high. And one of the things I want to tell you about this. So small is going to keep you in your comfortable zone. And if you do big activities, you're going to get out of your comfort zone. So I wanted to share, let me see if I can get it here. This is something Diana showed me. So, and we'll see if it's going backwards. If you draw a bell curve on your piece of paper, right? And in the middle, wouldn't you agree that the middle, the top of the bell curve, is where average lives, right? So average lives here. When you start out, man, you're just hanging around all the agents in the office. You're just trying to get to average. You're just trying to get to 20, 30 sales a year and have a good, comfortable life. And this is where most of the agents are, right? Selling around 20, 30 homes a year. As you start to succeed and you start doing bigger actions and you start moving towards bigger outcomes, something weird happens. And I've experienced this so many times, no matter what phase I went through. All my friends now are here that got me here. We're all having a fun little party. Everybody's comfortable. But as soon as you start going out here, these people are like, no, come back. Don't go there, right? Because it's not, you're leaving us. You're getting successful. We like you, right? So I got to be careful who I'm hanging around, first of all. What's really fun, and make sure I'm not off is there's another bell curve. And there's even another bell curve over here. And this is average for this bell curve, and this is average for this bell curve. So as you break through here, you raised your ceiling of who you're hanging around, and they pull you in. These people pull you in. And when you get back here, they start to, hey, come back. You can't do 200 million in sales, not by yourself. But as soon as you get here, these people are average and they pull you in. So this is the, 20%, or this is really probably the 80%. This is the 20%, and this is the 5%, right? And those get bigger and bigger and bigger. In fact, somebody just challenged me. I'm in one of those upper side bell curves, and they're just like, they actually said I was a big fish in a small pond. And I've always thought I was a small fish in a big pond, hanging out with the more successful people. And what I realized with COVID, not being out, not going to conferences, all that stuff, not being around those people that are in the 3% group or the 1% group, I got comfortable in my 5% group or my 10% group, whatever it is. So I hope that's making some sense to you guys, because really, as you're setting your goals, you're telling yourself, I'm ready to go to the next level. And whether you get there or not, here's what happened on mine, 40 million. So I come to Kansas City, hadn't sold a house in my first 3 years in real estate, or a couple houses, nothing consistent. I moved back to Kansas City, starting ground zero. My first year in real estate, 0 sales. My second year in real estate, $1 million in sales. My third year in real estate in Kansas City, 2 million sales, then 4 million sales, then 8 million sales. And what I was doing, I was so on purpose about getting in coaching, getting in the training, applying the stuff that I was learning, putting systems in place. The E-Myth book was there, the MREA book was there, and it was pulling me towards 40 million by doubling my business every year for like 4 or 5 years. And as I started to realize that 40 million becoming a reality, looking at myself going, and this is way long, this is way, way, way early, before I was ever a coach and before I was really, had been through everything a dozen times, I'm like, there's no way I could be $40 million in like 6 or 7 years. That's unbelievable. I mean, there's no way. So the next year I did 11 million. The next year I did 12.5. The next year I did 14. And what I've heard Gary say this before, is that as you start to realize your goals, there's this natural force that just kind of slows you down as you're getting to your goal, right? And I'm talking about a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Not just setting my goal at 1 million, because anybody can sell 1 million. However, if that's their goal, then they're doing, you know what, $1 million in real estate is like selling 5 homes in your guys' market. So the activities are going to drive you towards a 5-home sale business. That's what it's going to drive you towards. Everybody hanging? Y'all good? Okay, so as we move along then, how big is your box? That box is where you are right now. And are you working out of a big box, or are you working out of a small box? And here's the best part. You get to decide what you want that box to be. So in the book, it says there's a lot of new agents that limit themselves right away. They don't call their sphere. They just hope the business is going to come their way. They are not systematic about lead generation. So in your guide, grab your book, because we need to really, if you haven't done this, this is an important exercise. If you've done it before, let's see how well you keep it in front of yourself as you complete this exercise. And this is on page 3 of your book. If you downloaded the book, it's going to look like this. And if you don't have the book and you have a piece of paper, draw a circle in the middle of your page and draw about 5 boxes around the outside. And what's going to happen in those boxes is I want you to write the name, and do this right now. If you have a blank piece of paper or you got your guide on page 3, write the name or the cause of something that you would like real estate to support. Meaning there's a person or there's something that you're moving towards that from your real estate career you could do for people, whether that's to donate to a charity, whether it's to pay off a parent's home, whether it's to buy a second home, vacation home for your family, whatever it might be. Just go ahead and fill that stuff in. And anybody who's got themselves unmuted that wants to share anything that they're writing down, just kind of throw it out to help people break through here and write something down. Just get something down.
Pay my student loans.
Say that again.
Pay my student loans.
Pay my student loans. That is an awesome one. I have to tell you, most exciting thing ever. Lynette's children, we just went to St. Louis. That's where they live. Her son's a teacher and his wife's in marketing. They both met at school there. And they had sitting on the refrigerator just yesterday. I was at their house. We went there for a baby shower because they got our second grandbaby coming. That's exciting. And they've just been out of college, not even a year, maybe a year and a half tops. They had on their refrigerator $798 of student debt left, because they have been so on purpose for the last year and a half. They did the whole Dave Ramsey program and all that stuff, and they've been snowballing their money. $798 from $35,000 in debt about a year ago. So that's an exciting one. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? So here's the next thing I want you to do. Write down, whatever you wrote down, write down what it might cost to do that. Just take a second to do that. Write down what it might cost to actually make that happen. It's easy with student loans. You probably already know what your balance is, right? So as you go through that, just jot them down quick off the top of your head so you have something to come reference back to when you read the book, read the manual again right after class, right? After this session, or again today, making time for that on purpose, right? Doing the activities that are going to get this stuff in your head so solid that it's just going to show up real easily, right? Repetition, repetition. So if you've done that real quick, just add up kind of everything that it would cost to do all that stuff, and or in that center circle, put what you would like to make. Because if you know kind of, I want to make 200,000, I want to make 500,000, whatever it might be, all that stuff, you know, and this time we did this kind of real quick here, and I want you guys to work on this, but you're going to go back and fill that number in and see if all the things you're thinking about are in your boxes and do they add up to the number. Because if you're just willy-nilly pulling a number out there's no motivation behind that. I mean, there's nothing that's driving you to that. The next thing is, if you're going to do the activities that are going to get bigger results, you need to think bigger. Best exercise, my most favorite thing I ever do in Bold is the checkbook exercise. If you don't know what the checkbook exercise is, anybody want to share what the checkbook exercise is? Like, do you love it as much as I do? Could share what it is. Okay. If you don't, here's what it is. You start with a deposit of like $1,000 or something like that, right? And now in your checkbook register, you get to go through and spend that $1,000. If you had $1,000 added into your bank account right now that you didn't need, what would you do with it? Like, not just giving it away or, you know, paying bills necessarily, but not the monthly bills, but like paying off a house or paying off a car or whatever. That definitely is in there. So if you had $1,000 extra dollars, you can only spend the 1,000. What would it be? Just start writing those things down, write the amount, subtract it, balance your checkbook to zero. Once you get to zero, you double the last deposit. So now it's $2,000. You get $2,000. Now keep going, spend it till it's gone. Now $4,000, then $8,000, then $16,000. And repeat the process and keep spending the money. Go as long and as far as you can. That will help you fill in some of this stuff for your big why, and you'll probably find some of your motivation. Anybody done that exercise and really like seen things come to life that you didn't have on your list before? I know I have. Mine was taking my kids to Disneyland. I took my kids to Disneyland when I was 26 years old. 26 years old. I took my kids to Disneyland. Oh, wait, we had all three kids. So it would have had to be 3, 4, 5, 30 years old. We were 30 years old. And I put it on my goal sheet because I did this exact same exercise, put it on my goal sheet. I didn't even know we did it until the annual review, when my broker sat, my what do you call, team leader sat down with me and went over it and was like, you know, you went to Disneyland, right? And it's like, yeah, I did. It's like, you had that on your goal from the beginning of the year. I'm like, that is weird. Like, I was just mentally committed to it, right? All right, so let's talk about where your money goes. This isn't as fun to watch, but it's reality, and it's what you guys really want to understand completely as you're building your goals. Listen, here's why I love teaching this. I have been in so many business planning clinics where you're plugging in the numbers and everybody's just pulling the numbers out of the air. And I'm going to share some real things that I discovered when I pulled numbers out of the air. I was taking it through a class, but about the 12th time that I went through it, I started plugging in real numbers, and I realized that the numbers I were using the whole time were wrong. No wonder why I wasn't hitting my goal, or why I wasn't having the profitability. My conversion rates were off. They weren't textbook conversion rates. Everybody has their own conversion rate. Some people convert better than others, and other people convert worse than others. So when you're looking at this, we got to look at where your dollar actually breaks down and make sure you understand that, so you know when you have your dollar amount, you're calculating the right amount of sales. It can throw you off big time if you don't do it right. So on this first one, if you got $1 and you're in Keller Williams, you got money going to the other agent, your market center, business expenses, all that stuff, right? So that first half, 50% of every dollar you make immediately is gone if you're a listing agent, because it goes to the buyer's agent, right? Remember, we're focused on listings. So if we're on the buyer's side, we don't ever see the whole dollar. We only get half of the dollar. And we're starting out with the half dollar on the buyer side. But on the listing side, we just generated $30,000 in commissions and we get 15 of it. Gone. Poof, right? Next one goes to the market center. So this is actually a chapter that I wrote in the E-Myth Real Estate Agent where I talk about money, right? And everything we pay for brings value back to us. And if you're not getting the value, then that you wouldn't pay as much, right? So when you look at a market center, there are expenses that they have to have that building there, to have those conference rooms there, to have the training rooms there to help you get through, to have your mailbox there, to have somebody answering the phone, all that stuff. Guys, I can't go open up my own real estate office for less than what my cap is every year. I mean, I cannot go and hire a receptionist, get a nice building with a nice front, with conference rooms, cleaning people, everything. That I can't get that done for what my cap is. Why wouldn't I stay at Keller Williams? I mean, especially when it caps and I only pay my portion for that really nice office. We have a 20-story building, glass front. There's conference rooms everywhere, all this glass. The front lobby's got stone walls with the Keller Williams on it. It's got my mailbox back there where I can send all my business stuff to. It's not coming to my home address. All that stuff for my cap, right? And then the Keller Williams portion too, to be part of the franchise, which is bringing all this great stuff down to us. So we have Gary Keller. So there is great, great, great value in your cap. Now, I am going to tell you one thing that we're going to talk about is it doesn't matter what your cap is. Your cap could be another 50%. And when you're calculating your numbers, especially like if you're on a team, you've got another cap on top of this cap. If you're paying your cap to the office and you're paying a cap to your team. So you have to know, you have to put that in there. And it doesn't matter if it's 90% that the office or the team would keep. I get people stuck up on this all the time. It's like, I'm paying. No, you're paying for value for something. So if what that dollar is going out isn't getting you the value back for what you're paying for it, that's a different conversation. But the conversation I'm saying is if you get 10% and you want to make $100,000, it's real easy to figure out how many houses you have to sell. Now that's going to be 5 times more than if you got 50%. You guys see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Like, you don't just get to say, well, I want to pay less because I don't want to sell as much. No, if I have to sell 50 homes a year to make what I need to make, then I need to sell 50 homes a year. I got to work the activities in to do 50 sales a year, not sit around and complain because I should be only having to sell 13 or 15 homes a year and make the same amount of money. You can determine if you're getting money, you're getting value for your money. But offices, teams, everything are businesses. Businesses have to have a profit. The last thing you ever want to do is get your team member or your office into an uncomfortable position to agree to a cap dollar that is less than what it will take for them to cover their expenses. Let me say that again. You got to be real careful if you're going to build your business at an office and you just work them over and you get them to cut your split down. Now, you really can't cut cap dollars and all that other stuff. But I'm telling you, if you could, or you're working with a team and it's like, I don't want to pay, get 30%. I want 40% or I want 50%. Well, if they agree to give you 50% and they don't cover expenses, you'll build a business in that model that won't be open for more than 5 years because they'll go broke because they didn't have enough money coming in to cover their expenses, which is what we're talking about for you to do in your own business, right? So it doesn't matter what the split is. I hope you guys really get that, right? And you got to get value for what you're paying in. And then the last part of it is your share. Wait, what do we got? No, you got another third to go. You got to pay for your business. I mean, after all of that, that's just covering the office and the conference rooms and having a nice place and have a business address and having a KW email that you can leverage the brand versus a Gmail. I sell real estate at gmail.com, right? Now, I'm not getting into whether that's good or whether that's bad. I use Quarantine KC at Gmail now because Gmail is so common. I want people to know it's a real person. There's reasons for everything, but I still have my Brad at quarantine.com when I'm building the Quarantine brand, right? So just kind of keep all that in mind, that you have business expenses. Got to pay for signs, lock boxes, if you're going to do client appreciation parties, all that other stuff. However, just keep in mind, we're going to let the dollars pay for themselves and leverage our business by focusing on that master list, the people you already know, get your business cranked up, get it to profitability, and then reinvest your money, because that's easy money. That is the easy money that you don't need to spend a lot of money on. And then the last bracket is what you get to keep. Guys, that's it. That's what you get to keep at the end of the day. And even, I know I referenced the old MREA models, but I don't think MREA 2 book is out. Nobody has told me the second book is out, so I have not read it. And if it's out, I'm a total idiot, and I don't know how somebody wouldn't have told me it's out. So I have to reference back a little bit to the MREA because I've read that book a dozen times. I know what the new numbers are and what they're changing things to. But in the MREA, they show that to make $1 million, you're going to net, or to net $1 million, you have to sell 2.5, because 30% is going to go to office, business stuff, your cap dollars, that kind of stuff. Another 30% is going to go to your buyer's agents teams when you're paying your splits. So even though, let me clarify that too. If you've got a buyer team, buyer agent team, and you're paying them 50% split, you're still, it's 30% of the overall gross commission, because anything that you're selling to your listing team is probably not on a 50-50 split. It's probably more like a 25 split if you're looking at the models, or salary is what it really technically should be, according to Gary and Dave, who wrote the book, right? And their studies. So, and again, I may be throwing a few things out there. It's all right here in the MREA book. Read that book 12 times. Oh my gosh, 12 times. Why is he always 12 times? Because this is real, and this makes real money, and it makes really big money for you guys. I get excited whenever I meet somebody from the Northeast. I mean, I was born in the Midwest. My kids are all here. They're in school here. I'm stuck here. I'm not leaving my kids behind. I'm stuck here. If I could do what I could do anywhere, I mean, it'd be there or California, right? Now, again, markets have their ups and downs and all that other stuff. I get it. But I'm just saying, I'm in the Midwest, and it's because my family, this is where I've been brought up. It's where I choose to live. I have no regrets. But if I could choose, I would go somewhere else where the average price point was 750 to 2 million, because I can sell 100 homes in any market with this. It's not based on the price point. It's based on how often people move, right? And I think you guys are getting that. All right. So that all starts, that's all in your sphere. Just working your sphere will help you stretch that dollar farther. Let's just look at some numbers. So if your average sale price, and I kind of went probably to the lower end, but I think it's a number you guys can relate to here. The average sale price, if it's 500,000, your average commission on a 3% is going to be $15,000, right? So by the time you pay in your company dollar, which that caps at that amount, doesn't matter what the dollar amount is, but in your case, it's probably 35 to 37,000, something like that. You pay your royalties in for about 3,000. So stop right here. Let me say something. You all want to spend $40,000 as soon as possible. I want you all to wake up and jump out of your bed and go, we have got to get this 40,000 off our books. Let's get it paid, right? Get it paid now, because that means once you cap, you're at 100%. You got to get that 3,000 paid off as fast as you can. Get the 37,000 paid off as fast as you can. Don't worry about paying it. Be excited about paying it. I mean, when some people say, and it's all mindset, right? But I hope I'm just helping you guys think a little differently and think more like millionaires, because we're really in the Think a Million part of the MREA book. Get the book off the shelf. Go to Think a Million. Read that section in the book. It's everything we're covering right now is in that section. It's all there in detail. Like, you can really take it to the next level, right? But thinking a million, people would say something like, oh my gosh, I got to pay all those taxes. I kind of was like, dude, the more taxes I pay, doesn't that mean I made more? I mean, I'm not sure where the point is, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but is there a point where you actually make less money and you pay more taxes? I don't think so. I think you're always making more than what you're paying in taxes. In fact, you can reach a point where you keep making more and the taxes stay the same. Dude, that's the world I want to be in, right? So what are you thinking about, right? Cap out. You need to set your models up to make sure you are giving that 40,000 to the office. So let's see what that looks like. Your net income goal, if you set your goal for $250,000 is what you want to net. You want to make $250,000 a year, which I imagine for you guys is not some extravagant lifestyle. I mean, it's a comfortable lifestyle. It's probably maybe even really comfortable lifestyle, but I know there's some areas in there too where this would be great and you'd be doing very well. So but at 250,000, by the time you pay 40,000 in cap dollar, you got your business expenses. Now, what I based that on was just assuming 30%. And let me back up on that. I didn't pull that page up in the book. I got another one I want to show you. But if you have 30% office expenses, 30% cost of sale, which is your splits, that leaves a 40% profit at the end of the day. So the millionaire models, when you read this book 12 times and it starts showing up in your life and in your business, when you make 2.5 million, you should net $1 million. Now, let me give you reality. Because people don't follow the model, they haven't read the book 12 times, they don't do this stuff that we're talking about today, they don't do their business plan, they don't plug their numbers in, they don't reinvest their money. Like, let's just say somebody could get excited and go, cool, man, I only got $10,000 in business expenses. Gary Keller will say, check your $10,000 because the budget was 75. By you cutting it back to 10, was there somewhere you could have put your money in marketing that would have leveraged that $1 into $5 more or $10 more? So by saving money, you're actually restricting how far you can grow. And if you invest the money in the right thing and you invest the 75,000 perfectly, you will get a 40% return. If you don't invest it perfectly, you don't invest the whole 75, you felt like you saved it, and then you invest the other part of it that you did spend in the wrong places, what you'll end up with is what's normal, a 15% profit, 20% profits, getting way out there. Guys, I have sat with the top producers, the millionaires in this company, in a room with Tony DeCello. And there was probably like 200, 300 of us in the room. And I'm not a millionaire, by the way. That made it sound like I might be. I'm not. I'm a half-a-naire. And that's not my net, by the way. That's just what I generate. But anyway, and he said, raise your hands if you know for sure your net profit is at 40%. So we're in 300 of the sharpest top agents in the company. I saw one hand go up. And he said, well, actually, it's 38% or 37.5. So most people, and if you ask any kind of brokers in the old days, they got a 4% profit margin, 4%, and it should be 40 because they're not holding dollars accountable. There's no accountability. They're not helping people grow their business, whatever it might be. And I'm talking about just normal brokers. You ask any broker what their profit margin is, it's probably around 4 to 5% is what they make on whatever they invest in their company. I mean, I guess that's okay, but we have the model to net 40. I'm going to pause out because we are like heavy in numbers, and I want to pause out here as we look at this and take the 40, the 75 off, take those, figure out what our total GCI needs to be, divide that by the average, and we're looking at 24 sales to make $250,000 in your market. Who has questions on numbers or needs clarity around anything at all? Because this can be confusing. Anyone? Okay.
So I'm sorry that your average GCI is 15,000. What does that mean? Like, is that by property?
No dumb questions at all. That is a great question. GCI is gross commissions earned. And what I was assuming is that the average commission that you net in your market was around $15,000. You sell a house, you make $15,000. And then all your expenses have to come off of that as well. So it may not be what your take home is. Let me explain it one more way and then make sure. Am I answering the question that you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So on my team, when I had a team of 9 people and I was paying, now we're going old school stuff, guys, and we figured out a lot of things about what works and what doesn't work. So on my old school team, built it to 9 people. I had 4 or 5 buyer's agents, had 2 assistants, and I was the rainmaker. So we had that team going. My buyer's agents were on a 50-50 split because that just seemed to be what everybody else was doing, right? I want you guys to calculate your real numbers, because if you're on a team and you're paying another split, here's what I told my buyer's agents. So you do realize, like under the MREA models, if it's 30% cost of business, like operating expenses, 30% cost of sale, it means that as a team owner, I've got 60% of my gross total dollars earned out of that 15,000, right? 60% is going to go somewhere else if I have a team and I pay a buyer's agent and all that other stuff, and I get the 40% left over at the end. So what I explained to my team members is like, you guys realize that when you get 50% as a buyer's agent, I'm only netting 40 on every piece of business you do, which means that as the business owner who's giving you business, or you're in this work in this and you don't have all these expenses that I have, I'm actually losing 10% by bringing you on board. How many of you have ever thought a team like that before? Or you've heard of a team where it's a 50-50 split? You know, the business owner's losing 10%. 60% is expenses. They're hoping for 40%. I just told you top agents in the company aren't even netting 20 or 18%. It's somewhere around 13 to 15, maybe 18% at the best. Like that's more of the average top end, right? So that means if I'm giving you 50%, I am losing my shorts. I'm losing 10%. So the leverage that you need to bring to the team would have to bring in more business than what I generate. Otherwise, I'm totally losing money. How many of you just had an aha around why teams don't work sometimes, right? They're operating from a negative perspective. And when you leverage somebody, it should free up your calendar to go do what? Green activity. How many people have been paying attention? Money generating activities. Lead generate. So most people, when they bring that leverage in, they just give them all the stuff they hate to do and they just keep doing the stuff they like to do. But nobody likes to lead generate, not every day, 5 days a week for 3 hours. Ugh, that's called the grindstone, right? So when you get that leverage and they freed you up to lead generate some more, and their schedule's not full yet, so they should be lead generating because these are your salespeople, the rainmaker and the buyer's agents. They're your sales team. They should be focused on green activities. The admin people will get maxed out, and that's when you bring in the next admin person, but that's leveraging the dollars. So how many of you have a whole different perspective on teams and 50% splits and all that stuff? And if you are a buyer's agent and you are getting 50%, or for whatever reason you talked them into something higher, don't do it on camera, but you better pat yourself on the back, yet cautiously, because they're losing money and you're building your business inside that business. So I'm telling you what, when we got this, when we figured this out, I mean, we went back to the market center and said, hey, we want to pay our full cap. Because if that market center doesn't survive, and we built our whole business there around that odd office and that address and all that stuff, that would be the worst. I mean, what's $5,000 or $10,000 a year in savings? I'll just go sell another house. So again, as I asked for a cap increase because I was one of the first ones in our marketplace. They called them head turners, and they would make deals with people, right? So I don't like paying more. I want the deal. I'm like a deal maker, man. I'm pretty good at deals. Yeah, when you understand it, that's when Sonia came back to me and goes, we got to pay full cap. I mean, what kind of model are we leading here? I was like, I know, I knew that too, but you figured it out. Now it's going to happen. So there went my money. No, it didn't. It just, we recalculated our numbers and we knew how many sales we had to make the amount of money we needed to make. Right. And again, the value was still there. So it was worth paying for. Good stuff, guys. All right. So, on command, if you guys are in front of the computer and it's not going to jack up your screen and everything, when you log into command, just go through, you can actually plug all your numbers into command. Here's what it does is it keeps track of everything that you're doing. It's a hub for every part of your business. So when you plug your numbers in, it's going to compare your closings and your sales and what you're putting into command to tell you how you're doing on your goals instantly. Like, you can't lie to it. If you don't feed your database every day, then no leads are going in and that your lead conversion numbers aren't going to match up. So when you go into command, and I think this is probably in your book, but you go to log into your command, just jot this down if you don't have it open, go to the reports icon. It looks like a little report with check boxes, right? Then go to goals. You'll see the goals button up there, tab. Then click add goals or plus to goal settings. That's the next thing. It's in the top right corner of the page. I'm going to show it to you here in a second. And then say get started. And then you just plug in the numbers. So here's mine right here. So if I want to make $500,000, right? And my monthly profit goal is $41,000 a month, and I'm at 50-50 buyers. It has all my breakdown of my listings and buyers, how much money that is. But this is the numbers that I plugged in. So this year for 2021, I want to make 500,000. My expenses are at 120. I'm reading upside down and backwards, I think. The cost of sale, so that I just calculated 30%, right? I'm about 50-50 on listings and buyers right now. And this is guessing, by the way, so I'm going to give some caution to guessing, but then it breaks down all my numbers. Then I hit the next button at the bottom, and it brings me to this. So this actually shows the next stage where I'm putting in my leads to contact. All right, and in the MREA, let me come back here. In the MREA book, they show the conversion rate of leads. Now, I built my business model, or anytime I took a class, I followed these. This is like for listing appointments. If you go on a listing appointment, you get 80% of them to list with you, right? The seller listing, you would get 80% of them to convert. So that would be like 25 listings. I'll get 20 of them to list. And then 65% of them sell. Now, keep in mind, it's not so much that 35% don't sell. It's that 65% will sell in the year that you listed them in. You're still going to sell more. You might be at 80% conversion rate, but 15% of them roll into the next month or roll into the next year, right? Same thing with buyers. It was 60% will convert from a lead into a buyer, and then 80% of those will typically close. But here's the deal. I was plugging these numbers in and using these when the book first came out. I started tracking how many leads came into the database. How many people did we feed into the database, right? And then how many people were actually looking at houses, signed buyers contracts, or signed listing agreements. And then I would track them to close, right? Guys, we were at 10% conversion rate from the call to getting them on the phone. We were actually at 3% on that, but we started calling them 3 times a day for 3 days straight until we converted them, and we got it up to 15%. And that started because of this exercise right here when I started looking at my real numbers. And I was like, holy crud, I'm basing my leads that we're generating that we're converting 60% of those. There isn't a person on the planet. And if you do know them, please introduce me. I will pay you to know anyone that's converting 60% of their internet leads into real people, showing them houses, because that would generate 80% closed deals. At least in my world, it would, because these numbers are pretty good. I mean, that's pretty accurate, but you need to know what your real numbers are. So I plugged my real numbers in. It's at 25%. Now I can't even see my light. My eyes got, oh, it's because I'm upside down.
Upside down.
That makes it a little harder to read. So the leads at contact, we're about 25% conversion rate. I get them to tell me their life story, the whole thing. Contacts to appointments is about 5%. Now, see, the internet's really messed me up. The internet's horrible. I got 70, 80 leads, and we've closed 3 of them on realtor.com. Now, I will say, full disclosure, I don't pay for the leads. I'm on the lead program, and I talked my way into it because they've got everybody else that's paying leads and they're not converting. So far, we're probably like top 3 agents for converting, and I've only closed 3 in a year. But now at 3 closings with realtor.com, I now get to advance out of the crud hole, if you want to call it, of the worst leads ever, that I've got 80, 90 people sitting in there that we've closed 3 because they're really horrible conversion rate, right? And they're $60,000 homes. You can buy a $60,000 house in Kansas City, by the way, if you guys are looking for investments or referrals. Anyway, that was a little side pitch. So those internet leads, now we're going to bump up to the next tier. And as we start getting better buyers and better price ranges, our conversion rate's going to go up. So I'm plugging in, I plugged into my goals the real number. I think it's around 5% if I'm lucky. But that's also because my database is still kicking out business as well. Otherwise, it would be 1% probably if I was relying completely on that. I hope this is all making sense to you, right? The appointments kept to appointments agreements. I mean, pretty much, actually, I'm going to tell you something. That number is actually 50% because I only list half of the homes. I'll tell you the real numbers actually. So when people say, oh, I list 98% of the homes I go to. Yep, I'm at 97. 3% of my listings every year will list without me, meaning I went to a listing appointment. At the end of the year, I can pull every listing appointment I went on. I can go through the MLS and see if they listed. Obviously, most of them listed with me, but I'll find 3 for every 100 homes that we list that listed with somebody else. And I say it's 50%. So if I listed 100 homes, I missed 3, I closed 97. You know how many listing appointments I went on? 200. I'm at 50% conversion rate from sitting at the kitchen table to getting the listing. Now, that doesn't mean I suck. It means they weren't ready to sell. And my appointment was to plant the seed, get them on the drip plan and hammer them and bring them forward in the market to sell a year or 2 before they normally would have. So I'm actually proud of my 50% because those 50% that I didn't get are still in my database, and they're on an 8x8 and a 33 touch. Actually, they're on a more aggressive seller thinking of selling plan, right? So it's still got some fun stuff layered in there, but we're hitting them with our results and what things are selling for because they've got that seed planted. So that plan is running on the background. So, and then last thing here, oh, we're already at 11 o'clock. Last thing here, or 12 o'clock your time, guys. Upside down again. The leads contacted to, I'll just read it this way. Under contract to pending and close, I put it 95%. We have very few that don't go through. They usually go through. So just to kind of pull all this stuff together, gosh, I can't believe we're already at 12 o'clock because this next part, I just want to get this one last part in. I know you guys have heard me say this, 20% of what you do generates 80% of your income. So we got to get that 20% stuff, the green activities, and do it more. That means 80% of what you did yesterday generated 20% of your income. So what's the one thing that you can do right now that would make everything else easier? That is what one thing, if you put it in place, kind of makes all the other stuff you're trying to do like unnecessary, or like filling in a contract, getting it matched up, whatever. So another way I say this too is just if it's money centered, is what's the fastest way to the cash? Is what you're doing right now the fastest way to the cash? That's going to be taking listings. Okay, so what's the fastest way to the cash? Some people may say for sale by owners and expires because they wanted to sell. Yeah, so that is the fastest way to the cash versus cold calling, right? And when we talk about the database stuff, that's layered underneath there. That's not necessarily the fastest way to the cash. That's going to be the long-term pipeline that you won't have to go find cash fast anymore. It'll just be spitting out at you. But the point here is to get the 20% stuff on your business. And that is through the 411. This is the last thing I need to leave you with. Just give me a couple more minutes if you can. This is probably the most critical, most important form in the history of Keller Williams accountability. I'm going to explain it, and you guys have, oh, actually, I even have something right now. If you don't find it in the toolbox, I just now emailed it to everyone that had their name on the original list. So you have it right there. But let me explain this a different way that you might not have heard. A 411 is 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. Now write this down. This is what I want you guys to do. I want you to make, here's how many copies you need to make. So there's 52, actually there's 4 weeks. Yeah, there's 52 weeks in a year. So you need 52 copies of this blank form. Put them all in a binder, right? And you're starting with this month into 2021. So really, you're not going to use all of these, but if you were starting on January 1st, you'll do this next year. Make 52 copies, right? Now, what you're going to look at is, what is my annual goal? Whatever it is, you got business, you got financial, you got personal. Write your annual goal down. In fact, just keep going and write it 52 times. You need to write that down 52 times on every piece of paper, okay? Now come back to the beginning. We're at August 2nd, so write August for the month. What of that goal that I'm looking at on the very first page of your notebook, what can I do this month that will contribute to that? Write down the goals that will help you accomplish those that you want to accomplish by the end of the month. It's not something you'll do today. It's something you want it done by the end of the month. Write that down 1 time. Wait, is that right? 4 times. Sorry, 4 times, because there's 4 weeks. Go and write that down in the next 4 month columns, because that's August, and write August at the top of those 4 pages. Now go back to the first one, because we're at the first week of August. What can I do right now to move towards those things? Nothing else goes on this list unless it ties to what you wrote in the goal box in the month. And nothing gets written in the month box that doesn't tie to the year, right? And so fill in everything you need to do this week. So if your annual goal is to close 50 transactions, then you have to close 4 this month, which means you have to close 1 a week. So everything in your week column needs to drive towards closing a house this week. What's got to happen to close 1 a week? Right now, I haven't closed any. Okay, so how many people do you call every day and ask for business? Maybe 10. Okay, so we haven't even figured out how many we have to call to get the 1 sale. So bump it up to 20 or bump it up to 40 and track your 40. If you get your 1 sale right away, then maybe you can back it back down to 20 next week. But you haven't figured out what your numbers are yet and what your conversion rates are. So that's how many dials, how many, I mean, here's the stuff that you're tracking, guys. It's right there on page, oh, I set my glasses down. Page 109 of the MREA. These are the things that you should track on your 411, right? Leads generated, listings, contracts written, contracts closed. How much money is in your bank account? Who are the people that are going to bring you the next dollars? What systems and tools are you putting in place? And what's your education things that you're going to get better? And that could be just coming to Ignite every single week, no matter what, right? So hopefully that now next month, you'll put September, and on the first page, you already have your annual goal, but now you need to write what your monthly goal is, put that on the next 3 pages, and then start with the first week of September. So at the end of this week, turn the page. Week number 2 of August goes on the 2nd page. And if you had carryover from the first week, put it on there, because now you're going to have to work twice as hard if you didn't do it. And you won't do it all, not at first. On week 3, turn the page, roll over everything that's not done yet and add it to what needs to happen to get that goal. Guys, you're going to know in 30 days if you're on track for your goal or not. And you're going to know if you're doing the right activities or not. And so if you do this one thing with the 411, it will change your life. And that's how I ran my business. It's like, it was literally number dials number answered, number appointments set, contracts written, listings taken. I mean, that's what I was tracking on my 411. So that is the most important thing I wanted to make sure I covered. And our hour disappeared like pretty dang quick. So I don't think there's really not anything else, other than in the book, focusing on your goals. What do you guys want your life to look like? I mean, feed your database every single day and it's going to make everything happen for you. So let me throw out if you're still on, you have any ahas or anything that you want to share, or anything you heard differently today that really struck you as inspiring and get you going?
That 411, just chunking it down the whole year to a month to a week, and even breaking down that week into daily activities is like, wow, like this is your job.
Yep, you nailed it. And it broke it down to where it's actually manageable.
Doable.
Yeah. Rather than coming in every day going, got to lead generate for 4 hours. No, I just got to get one appointment this week or 2 appointments this week to make sure one of them lists so I can get towards my 1 sale. So if you're not getting a listing appointment a week or 5 listing appointments a week, whatever will hit your goal, right? It's got to be whatever your conversion rate is, you got to go on that many listing appointments. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. And so whenever somebody gets through a week and they didn't do their 411, I say, hey, I mean, it is what it is. So let's talk about your annual number, paying off your student debt. So we're not going to do that this year. I mean, I know you wanted to do it, but it's not going to happen. It didn't happen this week. Oh, no. I want to pay it off. Okay, well, roll it over. How bad do you want to pay it off? Because if these numbers don't hit this week, I can promise you're not going to pay your debt off. Right? So it will tell you exactly how to pay it off. The $35,000 in debt divided by 12 is what? $3,000, something like that. Is that right? About $3,000. So I need to make $1,000 a week to pay off $3,000 a month to pay off my $35,000 in 12 months. It's real simple. Either you make that commission dollars and put it in your pay off my debt fund, or you don't. So anyway, guys,
I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question.
Yes.
So with this 411, over the years, I've struggled attempting to get it onto paper. However, my question is, would you recommend doing a calendar year from January to December or cap year? Because my cap is December 1st. However, somebody's could be like March or, June or July or whatever. So what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think it's going to be what you are basing your business year on. So like if you told me today, I want to make, if you have $0, we're on August 1st, and by December you want to make 250,000, I'm dealing with a 6-month time frame. That's my 411. It doesn't have to necessarily be a year. You know what I'm saying? In 6 months, it's 250,000. So if I take 250,000 divided by 6, it's kind of just what we did on this other exercise. If I really want to make 250,000, I haven't made it yet, divide that by 6. So my monthly goal is I have to make $41,666 in August. But see, I'm just setting it from today until December. It's whatever that goal is that you set your goal. So most people do their annual business plan. They set up all their numbers. So it's going to be from your fiscal year of your business of what you're set when you're starting that, which is usually January 1st. You're going to pay your cap dollars in one way or another, but you do whatever's right for you on that. You can do this in a 6-month 411 or whatever. And then 41,666 divided by 4 weeks, I have to make $10,000 a week between now and December. So what on my week will help me generate one closing? For you guys, that's one closing, $10,000. So if I have to call 20 for sale by owners to get 1 or 2 or 3 appointments to get 1 to list with me and I can sell it. See, even though I might not sell it this week, I did the activity to make $10,000. But then you can't count that $10,000 like later towards your $10,000. People, coaching clients love to count things twice, you know? It's like, I earned it here. That's great. But you don't get to count it when you actually make it. That's already old $10,000. You got to do it again next week, do it again next week, do it again next week. And so many people do it all on one. You should only be looking at your 1 week driving towards those monthly and annual goals. That's the correct way to do a 411. That answer your question?
Yes, and it just got me thinking, maybe even just tax purposes, just, you know, December 31st is probably a good day.
Yeah, and I mean, taxes are all different. It's really not part of your goals. It's just a reality. So yeah, don't make it more difficult than it needs to be. Whatever you set it at, and wherever you start tracking, just say between now and what time frame do I want to accomplish this, and that's that's how many pages you need. However many weeks that is, make that many copies and do your, even though it says annual goal, your goal for this period of time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I love hanging out with you guys. This is fun. I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am.
Totally. Brad, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
For Facebook ads, I've gotten leads off of them, and you know, a lot of them turn out to be funky numbers or whatever. But first phone call to that Facebook lead, you know, hey, hi, you know, my name's Scott. I saw you looked at and you responded to my ad for a house on 123 Main Street. Wondering if you'd want to take a look at it in person, or you need additional information. I mean,
how's it working for you?
And not so great.
Okay.
Not so great.
Okay. So now what you're doing is whatever they say that it doesn't work. Remember, we talked about scripting and stuff. Have your little notebook. What was the last thing they said before they hung up that you didn't get them to give you their information? And then what you're going to do, and I'm going to help you here and give you a little direction, but then you start looking for a script that you could have used instead. And or what I did was I looked at the scripts. I found the scripts that I would have used. I used those scripts, and it still didn't probably get the result that I wanted, but it got me closer, or sometimes it worked. So then I got into the mastery level of just tweaking one word, you know. And then the way I put my filter on it is, how do I ask the same question that brings them value? Let me say this another way. Write that script down on a piece of paper. This is a fun mastery kind of level, moving towards mastery level way to do scripts. Get them to ask you that question. Let me say that again. Get them to answer that question by giving it to you without you asking for it. So they called on a property. They wanted you were asking to see if they needed to know what the price was and all that stuff. And, you know, however that script went, right? So how do I get them to ask me? So I might turn that script around a little bit, or that conversation. And I already, how many times, what percentage of them are you already uncomfortable and you know they're barely paying attention to you when you start?
Oh, all of them.
All of them. So you got to get past that. And remember the limbic part of the brain. Understanding this is that don't have time to listen to a sales pitch. I don't even know where this person's calling me from. You're already blocked. They're not going to hear anything you say. So I have to get past that. So a lot of times I'll call and I will say, hey, this is Brad Korn. I'm a realtor, but I'm a real person. And let me ask you real quick. Do you have a second right now? Because a lot of people don't expect to actually get a live person this fast, and the internet just moves that fast. But you got a live top agent here that can help you. Is this a good time to ask a couple of questions? Now, if they say yes, see, the other one that's a real good opener or icebreaker is, hey, you and I haven't met yet, but you were on a website looking for some properties. And I don't ever reference the site it came from because they do not remember what site they were on. You were on realtor.com and they were like, what's Zillow, whatever. So I just dropped it completely. I said, hey, you've been on the website and you clicked a button that inquired about information. You probably weren't expecting a live person right now, but that's how fast the internet moves. So the good news is that I can help you in your search. Are you just starting to look for a home? Is there a time frame that you're looking for? Was there a particular property that you wanted some information on? Right? So my buyer's agents would get so hung up on, well, the lead came in, I need to know which property they called on. No, you don't. Nobody even buys the property they call on ever. And I had one buyer's agent says, dude, I just pick up the phone and call them, ask them which one they were calling on. Then they tell me and I pull it up and look for it. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. So sometimes we just make it a little too difficult. So it's like, hey, like if you come at it from this perspective, you know what? Today is your lucky day. You got a live person, you got an agent that knows what they're talking about, and I can search inside the MLS system and get you the properties the minute they hit the market. This is like free. That's the mentality you're coming from. So when I do that, those yellow the yellow or blue sheets for buyers, I mean, I'm just grabbing a blue sheet and I start rolling through the questions. So after I get that opening thing opened up, I say, so you got a live person, I'm sure you clicked on a whole bunch of different houses. Is there a list of homes that you've got sitting there that you want information on? Doesn't matter who's got them listed. That's another script I use. Say, hey, give me the whole list of everything you're wondering about. I'll tell you if they're still available or not. In fact, now they do, they'll probably do that. And then you're like, so you guys just starting your search? Do you understand the process, pre-approved? Let me tell you, here's what we're going to do. And it's almost like a buyer consultation of just, here's an overview of what you're running into. You're not going to hear back from agents. When you go to these websites, even though realtor.com sent me the lead, I say, I got to tell you, most of those websites, the really great properties are gone by the time you call them. Have you called on some that are sold already? And they're like, yeah, it's so frustrating. It's like, yeah, I can plug you directly into our MLS system. See, you don't have access to it, but I can push it out to you. You're going to actually know about properties before the real estate agents know about them because they're not sitting in front of the computer watching for the property that you're looking for. So you're going to know about these properties before most realtors do. Now, did I just create huge value into them staying on the phone? And is there a little more trust? Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So again, play this part back and listen to that script. You brought up one other good point. I'm going to leave it for those of you that are still on with the 411. So the 411, if you're paying for any leads at all, if I'm paying this per month, what's my return on it? So if I'm paying $1,000 a month, I probably want to make at least $5,000 to $10,000 a month, right? So I want to make 120 grand on my 12 grand that I'm going to spend this year on leads. So there's annual goal, 120,000 from realtor.com banner, whatever. The month goal is whatever that is, 10,000, right? So how many of those do I need to convert to see if I'm hitting my conversion rate? Or how many people will I have to get on the phone to meet with me to get the setup on a search that I can actually start selling properties? And if you get 6 months through and you've made $2,000, one commission check, whatever, then I can easily cancel that and quit wasting my money. So it's another way to track it with the 411.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah,
Good
all good stuff.
Brad, sorry, can
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone had another question. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you can ask a question.
Okay. My question is about goal settings. Goal settings is obviously it helps grow your business, but sometimes when you cannot achieve it, it doesn't give you a good feeling. And I experienced in the past, it sometimes kills your motivation. How do you deal with that? Do you have any maybe magical tool to advise us?
Yeah, so what I think you're saying is that when you set goals, it doesn't necessarily keep you driving all year long towards that goal, right?
I mean, you try
You try.
in the end,
Right.
in the end, if you cannot achieve your goals, let's say you said 2 million sales, but you came down to 500, you sold one property, let's say.
Well,
but that kills your motivation.
The answer is the 411. Whatever that goal is, divide what it takes to get that goal by 12, and then divide it by 4. And in that week, you have to do the things that will make that happen so you can get 1/12 of that goal made by the end of the month. Here's the difference. You write down a goal, you pin it up on the wall, you're watching toward, go to Disneyland, go to Disneyland, go to Disneyland. At the end of the year, I'm like, crap, they want $40,000 in taxes? I don't have any money. It's like I'm broke. I can't go to Disneyland now because you weren't tracking it throughout the year. So if I had broke down exactly what needed to happen every single week, see, there's days that are slipping by you. You're not going on one listing appointment. I mean, there's 52 weeks in the year. We're working in real estate for a week and we don't go on one listing appointment all week. You can't be a real estate agent and hit some of those big goals going on one listing appointment a month. You have to go on a listing appointment a week. Then it has to be 2 listing appointments a week. Then it has to be 4 listing appointments a week so that you're closing 4 per month. So your conversion rates will show up on that 411. And the only reason why is because you're just naturally rolling along and seeing what happens. And you're doing, it's not that you're not working. See, we're not lazy. We're just focused on the wrong activities. Do that calendar exercise for the next 2 weeks. Write down everything you're doing every 30 minutes, whatever it is. Have the timer go off. And if you're reading a book, write down reading a book if it's right then. Do that for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, go back in and color anything that was bringing in new money, getting a listing or getting a buyer agency signed. Because we know once the buyer agency signed, 60% of them will close. 80% of them will do business with us, and 60% will close. Some of them will get beat out, and it might be a little lower number now, but then you'll just have to adjust it. But that color green, anything that's new money coming in, and if you're not hitting your goals on a regular basis, it's because you're not doing enough green activities that are allowing you to do that goal. And that it doesn't even matter if you want to take a vacation every month, 12 vacations this year, you still need money to make sure the house payments are made or paying off your debt or whatever it is. You got to get X number of closings to generate income. Even with a team, you still have to have profit. So you need to do your 411. You just haven't done the 411 broke down to only the activities that drive towards that. That would be my guess.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Good stuff, you guys. Great stuff. I'm glad I had some extra time today. All right, it's all on the recording, so you guys can check it out again. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks, Brad.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.